You are putting yourself as people undertake to become as one to be ministers and heads of state, everything. But you gotta just live there. There are a proper question to get there. And when we gather like this, it's an opportunity to exchange some of those skills. Finally, the issue of youth apathy. Don't just complain, be part of the revolution. And please, our leaders today, everywhere, for them to reach where they are, they went through struggles. They really suffered. And your role should not be to disassociate with your country, to disassociate with your leaders, and try to look to go to America or somewhere else and get some ideas from here. Get your idea from your country, fight within your country, within your party, within your country. Don't despise your country. One thing about the Americans that praise itself, they are very strong, they are very proud of being American. That is strength number one. Be proud of being South Africa. Be proud of being Zimbabwe, of being Malawi. We are listening because the majority of our people, the youth, yourselves, you want to be against your own country. And you think that you will progress. No, you are being against yourself. Each country has its own laws and things. If they give you a passport today, or American passport, that does not make you still an African. You are still an African. Then you are under the South African passport, doesn't the American. The truth, we know when God comes, He will locate you in South Africa, not that He will locate you. The trial will see to America to be South Africa. That's a great balance to God that is American. Once we are proud of ourselves in Africa, we will develop. Then we will also go for our own products. Then the problem is that when you see something African, you shine and say, no, I want somewhere else. And the economists will tell you that it's all about demand and supply. It's all about demand and supply. If you people demand local goods, it means our economy will expand. There will be employment. So when you go and say, I want to buy outside, there will be no employment. China, look what they've done. They've come on, they make sure that they also create a market. When they build even a shop, even the nails, they want to get it back from China. Every day, though, they want to come from China. The chair that go to China. So they are creating production in China. Because there is a demand. So if they create demand, you are the problem with that. We import the demand there, and we produce there, and we produce nothing. And in the end of the anyway, I want another thing for it so that we continue with this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Steve, for that. I'd like to echo your sentiments around moving quickly with the program. You said not tackle too much because there's many other individuals that are joining us as well and standing on the podium. So we'll indeed have another conversation for sure. Just maybe to echo again, you do have a little time to go through your speech. I will be sitting right here in the corner. I will signal you with 5 minutes. When things get really tight, so we find ourselves in the 1 minute mark. I might be here. So let's make sure that peak talent. All right, so the second statement from today is from Prof. Edmund Pratt, the African theory who says that the continent's body is working hard to so that more African countries subject themselves to good governance on the continent. Democracy, he says, should work for the people. And his statement will be delivered by his chief of staff. Please give him a huge round of applause.
Thank you very much. Actually, directing extremely short, but just to observe all protocols not liked by His Excellency the President of our Parliament, His Excellency Chief Sharon Bira, our gracious host. He mentioned some very important topics that young people should know that the struggle against colonialism and indeed apartheid always took long, but he sometimes wanted to tell that it took 342 years. 342 years since January of the Dutch East India Company settled in the Cape and established the Dutch Cape colony, which was later taken over by the British. And the Dutch settlers migrated to the interior. They took the land that belonged to the Dutch people in the interior and established 3 republics: the Orange Free State, the Orange Republic, the South African Republic, and the Italian Republic that was later taken over by the British and then became the Natal group. So it's wise that you know that the struggle took 342 years. I acknowledge the deep sense of humility and privilege applied to us as a carer to address this important 30 years of freedom, intergenerational dialogue on democracy and development, organized by the National Development Agency, includes collaboration with the Carer and the Pen of Care. On behalf of the Carer Continental CEO, Professor Baruka, who is our official mission, hence could not make it to this important event, we once again kindly wish South Africa a 30th Freedom Day. May South Africa continue to be a land of freedom, stability, peace, harmony, prosperity, democracy, and development. We wish to express our sincere gratitude to the government and the people of South Africa. Since the 27th of April 1984, South Africa has been the beacon of reconciliation and cohesion, the entire champion against imperialism, neocolonialism, genocide, and all injustice. A voice of courage, conscience, loyalty to principles, and values. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, when talking about democracy and development today, in celebration of 30 years of freedom in South Africa, it is worth mentioning that despite challenges South Africa is facing, the country is developing in terms of democracy and governance. The Economist Democracy Index, which provides a snapshot on the state of democracy worldwide, has scored South Africa 7.05 out of a scale of 10. The 2023 Democracy Index has ranked the country 47 in the world and 4 in Africa after Mauritius, Botswana, and Cape Verde. The Mo Ibrahim Index of African Governance, published every 2 years, has ranked South Africa as the 10th best performing countries on the continent in terms of governance. The Mo Ibrahim Index of 2022 has ranked South Africa 6th on the continent after Mauritius, Tunisia, Cape and Mozambique. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the economic second generation country review report of 2022, which was launched by Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa in December 2023, highlights that although post-apartheid has a vibrant political democracy, it is still a democracy under socio-economic distress. The report reveals that the end of apartheid did not end racial divisions and racism, nor did it solve the economic and social problems that have continued to be said. The country's thriving democracy since 1984. The South African National Human Development Report 2022, developed by the UNDP in close collaboration with the government of South Africa under the theme Harnessing Employability of South African Youth, highlights the shocking paradoxes of South Africa's developmental trajectory. The report points out that although South Africa has a long legacy of colonization and apartheid, the country now faces triple development challenges of slow growth, deep poverty, inequalities, and high level of job lessons. A detailed analysis of the youth unemployment scenario presented by the report reveals that the face of unemployment in South Africa is black, young, and female. The report affirms that the country and indeed the government has the vision, the commitment, and the capacity of overcoming its youth unemployment challenge. The Excellencies, distinguished delegates, with this crystal clear picture revealed to us all these reports and indexes, perhaps what we should do in this dialogue is now to attempt to critically address the question posed by our youth today. Our youth at the center of development. We should also find answers to the right of our youth. Can they hear us or can they see us? A critical reflection of these issues would indeed enable us to assist the government to effectively mainstream youth in South Africa's democracy and make them critical stakeholders for its development. In so doing, we should be inspired by the wise words of one of the great sons of Africa, a true revolutionary, a Pan-Africanist of note, a great teacher and a genuine leader, America Kabla, when he said, and I quote, "We should always bear in mind that the people, and indeed our youth, today are not fighting for ideas, for things anyone said. They are fighting to material benefits, to live better in peace, to see their lives forward, to guarantee the future for their children." Africa, God bless Africa. God bless Africa. Thank you for your kind attention. Amada.
Amanda! Amanda! How privileged are we to be sitting here today in dialogue after 30 years of democracy. Thank you so much, Chief of Staff. The last statement will be coming from His Excellency Andre Zabaede, the Ambassador of the Central African Republic and Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps in South Africa. He hopes that one day, maybe in our lifetime, our children will look around them and say how proud they are of what the generation has done in its respective countries. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for His Excellency Andre Zabaede.
As you know, usually ambassadors are very polite. Hear that you say, so Amanda. Good morning. I'm introduced the Dean of African Ambassadors, and I've been asked to introduce also my colleague, African ambassadors. As Chief said, we are aging, so I cannot see all of them in this room. So if you allow me, because I'm not here alone, there are many see some. If they can just stand so that you understand that African missions are supporting what is going on. Kenya, Senegal, Ethiopia, Gabon, Namibia, Chad, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, yes, Lesotho, Algeria, Uganda, Guinea. So you see, there are many here to support this. There is also big there. Thank you, Honorable Dr. Ondo, Minister of the National Corporation, Honorable Maruke from Kopa, Minister in the Presidency, Your Excellency, Chief Fortune Charukira, President of the Pan-African Parliament, Your Excellencies and heads of nations and international organizations, the entire leadership of the National Youth Agency. On behalf of African heads of diplomatic missions, I would like to congratulate South Africa, the land of Madiba, the land that is an example for many African countries because of its strong democratic institutions. 30 years of freedom in South Africa. That's also 30 years of peace and security. Very important issue on the continent. Congrats to the South African youth. A vibrant youth with strong performance in politics, music, sport, science, etc. Congratulations to the vibrant civil society of South Africa. Congratulations to the South African Parliament, including the House of Traditional Leaders. Congratulations to the ruling party in South Africa. Also, congratulations to the opposition in South Africa. As you know, without opposition, there is no democracy. Congratulations again to the judiciary, the media, for their independent for their play, and that serves as model for many countries on the continent. Of course, we not forget our host. Congratulations to the Pan-African Parliament, also to the other African institutions here in the country, the other African Union institutions, like the African Peer Review Mechanism, like the Outer NEPAD, for the effort they are making to promote democracy. Congratulations to the continent globally. If we look around, we see that more and more democratic elections are taking place on the continent. Despite some setbacks, but there are progress, a lot of progress since I've been born. I can tell you that I'm not young. Since I've been born, I've seen progress going. I've seen elections taking place. I've seen free media on the continent. A lot of them now in place. Free civil society on the continent. Congratulations also to our founding fathers. In 30 years, South Africa has gone a long way. The continent has made a lot of effort. When I was young, my parents has nothing to say, very little, because I was born still in the colonial time. The young people, we didn't have much to say. Our parents were the ones who were deciding for us. The risk of today for the youth, there are still a lot of risk for the youth that we see on the continent. Issue of malgovernance, unemployment creates lack of opportunities for the youth, lack of vision for the future. The consequence for the youth is that many of them, as we see in some countries, they join the armed groups and they become victims of manipulations, particularly by politicians. We commend South African government and the National Youth Agency in South Africa for their effort to take into account the aspiration of the South African youth. Countries that has not understood that the youth is the future are those that are still behind and not making sufficient progress. African aspirations remain the unity of the continent. Let's favor exchange of young people. Let's promote internship on the continent between Africans. Tourism, let's promote tourism on the continent so that our young people can know each other better, and that will strengthen the foundation of the effort we are making for a united Africa. On behalf of my colleagues, I wish you all productive dialogue.
His Excellency, thank you so much, and congratulations to you as well for all the incredible work that you have done. And indeed, without opposition, there is no democracy. It's time for us to prepare for an address on building stronger diplomatic partnerships for sustainable development, of the role of international relations in democracy and governance. Our next speaker is not just a beacon of hope, but an unshakable catalyst for change, who faces challenges head-on with conviction in her voice. Speaking at the third International Diplomas of Humanities Conference last year, the minister said that the world is a very troubled place. And she doesn't want us to pretend that it is easy, because it is not. But she hopes that those in positions of power will rise up, and rise up. Let's start talking. All these are a few good men and women. The most progressive thing to do is to unite and take action. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you have visited. For the one and only, the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa, Dr. Nale.
Thank you very much, President Director. I must confess that it's very nice to have young people clapping for this. Normally, they say things like, why are you still here? You should retire. Or wake up after your grandchildren, stuff like that. And I usually say to them, my grandchildren and parents. Not my job to love the grandchildren. And then I say, when are you going to leave? Go. I love you. And I said, just to irritate your kids. So it's ugly to get welcome from the board. And I'm not speaking. I recognize the program director, the president of the Pan African Parliament, Chief Fortune from Europe, my colleague who I'm told will join us, Minister of Justice, Minister Lamula, my colleague, Minister Marupini Ramaphosa, Minister of Presidency, one of the most difficult jobs, monitoring and evaluation. Our colleague, the Deputy Minister of Youth in Africa, Dr. Emma Kandema Gaumas, welcome you here, Deputy Minister. The Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps and all members of the Diplomatic Corps present here this morning, representative of the CEO of the APRM, members of Parliament joining us today, and traditional leaders present in this meeting, and all distinguished delegates. Well, we are, as we have this conference, in the midst of celebrating 30 years of democracy for South Africa. Through this celebration, we have a unique opportunity as South Africans and fellow Africans to reflect on the journey we have traveled and to consider and highlight the milestones that we have achieved as a people, as a government, as a country. It's also an opportunity for us to pay homage to the many leaders of our struggle who sacrificed so much so that we can enjoy the freedom and democracy we have in South Africa and on the continent today. When I was a young academic, before Vulelani Luka persuaded me to accept being on the list of the ANC for Parliament, I had the ambition to become a professor, and eventually I anticipated I would become a vice chancellor of the university. But then I don't think Vulelani Luka persuaded me and other colleagues in the ranks of the African National Congress. But when I listened to a certain professor earlier this week talking about 30 years of democracy and claiming that nothing had been achieved, I was very glad that I had changed career. Because I would like to be a professor without analytical capability or intellectual truth. For many of our young people, the stories of these struggle standards are not always well known to them. But it is vital that we do share with our young people that our struggle was one of pain, was one of trauma, but that for those who fought in the trenches, victory was always certain. They knew freedom would come. And indeed, freedom came. And we need to appreciate the role that they play while we embrace the new opportunity. I think in their memory, we have an obligation to carry on their legacy and fight as a collective, as Professor Chief Chirumura said, for a better future for our people and ensure that we really curtail the widening levels of inequality and ensure all people enjoy opportunity. To accomplish these tasks, we need all our young people and their energy to build the new dawn that our president speaks about, so that we can truly ensure that this is a country for all who live in it. I believe our young people have a critical task of playing a meaningful role in shaping and determining our country's future. And they also, as they play this role, should ensure that they decisively address our triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and joblessness. And do recall, while I refer to joblessness, that I believe opportunity of work exists in many dimensions, not just in seeking employment, but also in being an entrepreneur and creating employment. So really to embrace the many dimensions of what it might take to end the current challenge of lack of livelihood. Our young people must sustain the legacy of democracy and should seek to build a fairer and more prosperous society. One way of doing this is to embrace democracy. And by embracing democracy, I'm not saying go take and see like I do. I am saying that what you must do is you must participate in the upcoming elections so that those who gave their lives to ensure that all South Africans would vote lie in rest, knowing that they did not make that extreme sacrifice in vain. I know there are many who are irritated with the government, who feel we've not made the progress that we should. But as a student of this government, there is no transition that occurs in just 3 days. It merely begins, but it takes a very long time to achieve the ambitions that we have. And we need to recognize what we become aware of is over time, as we evaluate our progress, at each stage of a decade, we will be able to see that indeed advances are being made. So it's vital that you participate, that this democracy becomes your democracy, and that you own it by participating in it and not by excluding yourself. I can tell you, the day after the election, if you decided I will go to this register, but I won't vote because you already have yourself. So rather, go and put your cross. Maybe not Miranda, but put it anyway. Because then you will be a participant in our democracy. And that is what I was asked to talk about partnerships, international partnerships, for advancing democracy and development. I want to begin by saying one of the most important changes that occurred on the African continent was the embrace of democracy and the commitment to implement and search for practices of good governance. One of the things we must never allow to happen is disrespect for the right of our people to choose who should govern. This is a very important aspect of democracy, and it must be none have a democratic deficit. Indeed, it's true that there have been changes, there have been advances, but there's inadequate democracy, and we need to do more to build it throughout the continent of Africa. We also must ensure that we empower young people to be able to drive this change for the good for our continent. You will recall that our former President Thabo Mbeki, framed the notion of the rising of Africa by coining the concept of the African Renaissance and by placing it firmly at the center of South Africa's foreign policy. So for South Africa, Africa is at the heart of our foreign policy. And you will recall President Mbeki further articulated the significance through his speech at the adoption of our Constitution on the 10th of May 1996, when he said, "I am an African," and set out through that speech the framework of an African agenda for South Africa. Following that important epoch-marking speech, South Africa became actively involved in the transformation of the Organization of African Unity into the African Union, and our President Mbeki served as the first chair of the newly established African Union. Now, it's always important to recognize the significance of the Organization of African Unity to South Africa, and hence the significance of having Africa as our priority focus in our foreign policy. I often tell journalists who interview me on this question of Palestine that, one of the intriguing realities of our history of struggle is that all African members of the Organization of African Unity stood with the anti-apartheid force. And the Palestinian people are unfortunate because they're not getting a similar support from their region, but with us, Africa stood with us. And that's important. One of the areas we've got to address on our continent, if we are to achieve the level of progress that is necessary for true development, we've got to combat unconstitutional changes of government on the continent. We must tell the military that they haven't been given the wisdom of knowing how to govern democratically. They should remain in the barracks, and they must allow the people democratically to choose the governance of their children. Of course, that the African Union has tried to play an important role in sanctioning countries that don't respect democracy. But there has been criticism of the African Union in that it has not appeared to take any action against leaders on the continent who believe they're traditional leaders that can rule forever. We need to attend to more assiduously. As South Africa, one of the things we've tried to do in our international relations is to promote democracy, but also to advance sustainable development as a platform for our international engagement on the continent and globally. We believe to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we need to strengthen partnerships with developed and emerging economies to stimulate economic growth, trade, and investment. We have strong partnerships with the North countries, the more developed, richer countries, as well as with the United Nations in the area of peace and security, which is so important for our continent. And we have, as South Africa, made a major contribution to conflict resolution and peacemaking as part of our international diplomatic efforts. As South Africa, we believe as a country and government that without peace, you cannot have development, and without development, you will not have peace. Africa and its peaceful progress are at the heart of our policy and will remain so. We intend, as South Africa, to play a more proactive role in enhancing our peacemaking role and to build partnerships with others on the continent for stability and sustainable peace. Our country, when it returned to the international community, claimed its rightful space among the community of nations and emerged as a beacon of hope to many, having achieved the successful and peaceful transition from an oppressive apartheid state to a democracy today. We became actively involved in a range of mediation and negotiation efforts, playing a pivotal role in a number of peace processes. Just 2 weeks ago, I was part of President Ramaphosa's delegation to South Sudan. And you know, when you have these diplomatic meetings, foreign ministers can't say anything. Just watch our president. If we did it, put drops into them, always send the paper across the table. And President Ramaphosa decided that he must meet all the leaders of various groupings in South Sudan to persuade them that the practice of democracy and thus the implementation of the agreement on peace was an important undertaking that all of them should honor. Now, among the leaders, there are gradations of agreement. There are those who fully supported the agreement. There are those who are, maybe, but then there are those against. So I watched President Ramaphosa with great interest on how he would engage those who are totally against. And I was quite intrigued by President Ramaphosa's negotiating. Because they kept saying all sorts of things, and he'd say, no, but you're not telling me that you're part of it. And then he says, you still haven't told me what is it that you are after. And in the end, he spilled the beans and helps to set in process the return to acceptance of a peaceful process. And I thought, my goodness, we are so lucky to have engaged leaders, can speak to others and persuade for peace. Such an important attribute that our country has. But we're also looking at how we might, in South Africa, strengthen the security architecture within the Southern African Development Community and, of course, in the African Union. Let me explain what I mean. You know that today we are seeing the bombardment of innocent Palestinian civilians who played no role in the Hamas attack of October 7th. Those innocent civilians have no protection whatsoever. it should be the responsibility of the United Nations to ensure peace enforcement and protection of civilians. What the current calamity illustrates is that we don't have proper security architecture, which can, through leadership of AU or SADC or the United Nations, offer protection to ordinary civilians who have overrode in a conflict and played no contribution in initiating. So we believe that there needs to be very firm attention to the matter of security architecture within our region at the continental level. Peace mission. We support the boosting of international partnerships, including ensuring that we have long-standing partnerships on the continent that support the ambitions of the African Union. We associate ourselves very inadequacy was clearly illustrated when we were confronted with the COVID-19 pandemic. We discovered in that crisis that the world is extremely selfish and that when the rich have a solution, they will utilize the solution for themselves first and will think about us at the end. And so, in response to the situation we faced, we decided that South Africa and the continent needed to build their own capability of vaccine production. And we had to ensure that whenever we need them, vaccines would be readily available on our continent. We worked through the World Trade Organization to temporarily suspend intellectual property rights so that we could have access to the patent and all the intellectual property associated with the then established COVID-19 vaccine and other technologies related to vaccine production. Because what was happening was the IP was there, it was patented, we could not have access to it, and we said we want a temporary easing of the regulations so that we could enjoy access. I don't want to waste your time by telling you what a difficult journey we travel to persuade members of the WTO. And even in a case where you seek to save lives, people are more interested in the profit they make from controlling intellectual property. But in the end, in persuading a number of developing country members of the WTO, and particularly in partnering with India, we were able to secure that seat. And then, so working with India today, we are collaborating on genomic sequencing to further research on COVID-19 and the virus's mutations. The leadership of India and South Africa gained important experience out of fighting for the waiver and the WTO, and also through securing global support for development of manufacturing capacity in Africa and other developing regions. Today, South Africa is the Africa Regional Hub, and there are 8 other spokes on the continent where we are developing this capacity. And it's extremely important for our continent. A further area in which I believe we can reduce our dependence as Africa is through implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, a very vital agreement, a flagship program of Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Currently, trade within our continent for intra-African trade is at around 16%. And we want to increase our share of world trade as Africa, which at the moment in terms of products we send out stands at around 3% of global export output, totally inadequate. And we need to change. In order to do so, we must achieve economic integration, we must achieve industrialization of the continent, we must secure infrastructure development to ensure that the logistics are in place to secure our ability to trade more effectively. We've got to increase productive capacity of the continent, have stronger regional value chains, manufacture more effectively quality products, and create economies of scale. So the work we've done of South Africa's automotive sector, also utilizing Lesotho for part of the components for the cars produced in South Africa, builds a very positive value chain that we need to really draw on for increasing Africa's participation in the world automotive sector. So I'm really thrilled that South Africa has taken the AFCFTA very seriously, and that we commenced trading in January last year, and that the majority of African states have now ratified the free trade agreement, which will vastly change Africa's landscape. Once implemented fully, the free trade area will connect 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of around 3.3 billion US dollars. And all of us as entrepreneurs can benefit from that opportunity. As Africa, we have 650 million consumers today, and we will have a significant African middle class by 2030. So we really believe the AFCFTA has come at the right time, that this is Africa's time, and that the youth must take up all these opportunities and make good on them. So I say to young people that our international relations have been directed at enhancing diplomacy between South Africa and the rest of the African continent, but also strengthens our collaboration and development partnerships with countries of the world. As South Africa, we are not anyone's enemy. I always tell my foreign minister colleagues, we don't seek to make enemies of anyone, but we seek to create opportunities for our country, our people, and for the continent. And where we see wrong, we will take a moral stand. So on the question of Palestine here, it is moral, but it happens to the Palestinians. We will also take a stand on what is happening in Sudan, on what is happening in the Sahel, and several other African countries. South Africa must play a role equitably everywhere to ensure peace and development, and to utilize our achievement of democracy to support the achievement of democracy and development in all parts of the world. So for us, when we talk international relations, we say a better South Africa, a better Africa, a better world. This is our commitment to international relations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Dr. Okay. Thanks so much for your question. So as the video plays, the choir, please come to the stage and please feel free to dance along, sing along, and sing along the Soweto gospel choirs. Please also just excuse our dignitaries for a quick second, and as soon as they're back, we'll then commence with today's program. So it's a gospel choir, please make your way, play the video.
My name is Nicole Baba. I'm one of the farmers here. It's called in the mine fund, just near Maskra. The size of our farm is 106 hectares, of which 51 hectares is around what you see grades, both summer grades and grades. And we just recently harvested soybean, and we're preparing the which